And good morning and welcome to another live stream. Um, First things first, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and select all notifications and share and like the video amongst your friends and colleagues. Uh, Today we're going to go through a couple of videos I found online um, where bureaucracy has left people with disabilities behind, and it's to me it's bureaucracy gone mad. It's not allowing people to make their own informed decisions on things that they want to do. So we'll just play the first video. Thanks, Chris.
Hugo loves to run. He's an Australian cross-country champion with big dreams to represent Australia. But a national sports body has banned him from competing, ruling Hugo isn't fit to run. The 14-year-old says he can do anything anyone else can.
I don't think other people should stop me from doing the things that I like.
Some people are born for greatness, and 14-year-old Hugo knows he was born to run.
I like the adrenaline, and it makes me happy because I like the feeling of not being able to stop.
Hugo has achondroplasia, the most common form of dwarfism, and for years he's been the star of his running track. It's long distance where Hugo really hits his stride, clocking up wins in his category in the 3-kilometre race at the cross-country national championships.
I also won it last year and came second in 2022.
And he has the medals to show for it.
These are my individual national ones where I came first or second in the individual national race.
But Athletics Australia has crushed the Year 9 students' big dreams of being a Paralympian because of a new ruling.
I want to go to the Paralympics when I'm older so I can just be a role model for other really young, short-statured athletes.
Now, short-stature people can't compete in events longer than 400 metres at a national level.
I got a call saying that he wasn't allowed, he was able to compete in state, but he wasn't allowed to go any further.
And you believe this is based on apparently medical advice?
They have not been able to provide any medical evidence or information about why they have made this decision. It feels like it's a bit of bureaucracy gone wild.
Mum Alicia says Hugo already has clearance to compete, and she says he's as fit as anyone.
Hugo and every person with short stature has always needed to do an individual medical certificate, so Hugo's had that.
But still, the national body has decided no more long-distance racing for Hugo.
There's World Dwarf Games. They actually have they run a 1,500-metre event. So if the community of short stature people run a 1,500-metre event, who are these organisations to say that it's not okay?
I guess you've always brought up your son, telling him he could do and be anything. This is a slap in the face, isn't it?
Oh, well, Hugo's a machine. He is such a machine, aren't you, Hugo? Yeah, we've always said to him, he can do whatever he wants. There's going to be some challenges that he'll need to overcome to achieve what he wants to achieve. But, you know, if you've got a dream, you've got to drive for it.
We really empathise with Hugo and other athletes in this situation. We've all been that age and want to participate with our peers, so we can really understand how disappointed Hugo is.
Sam Millard is the National President for Short-Statured People of Australia. He says equality in all areas of life is paramount.
It is pretty individualised when it comes to short-statured athletes. I'd recommend schools and organisations really taking it on a case-by-case basis.
It's hard to imagine someone watching him run would want to take that away from him.
No, yeah, it's hard to understand. It really is hard to understand. He's yeah, it's a small thing for them, but it's a massive thing for Hugo.
Let me run.
So there you go. We've got a young 14-year-old boy who loves to run. That's his hobby. That's his sport. That's what he chooses to do. And listen to his mother. Now, what a supportive mother she is. I mean, how great of a mother is she? You know, she knows there's risks, but she still supports her son to be able to run cross country. That's 3 kilometres. But they're told no. What? Who are they to say no? Yes, we need to take it on an individual basis. You can't throw a blanket over everyone and say, oh, every person who's a short stature has all the same problems, therefore we make one rule that covers all. Forgive the pun, but that's been short-sighted. It really is. This young bloke deserves a pat in the back and encouraged. To be encouraging to be more than he is, to strive for more than he thinks he can do. That's what we all do in life. We all strive to achieve more than what we are, more than what we're capable of doing. Now, I know I've come across a lot of people over the last 3 or 4 decades with different types of disabilities. And some people struggle to get their head off the pillow in the morning, and some other people end up becoming Paralympians. Why do people do this? Because they strive to achieve their goal. They strive to achieve something that a lot of people with similar disabilities can't do. And they should all be applauded for it, especially this young man and his family, his mother. I mean, fair dinkum. I mean, this young man's mother, you couldn't ask for a more loving, caring, and supportive mother. These are his dreams, and she's trying to help him achieve these dreams. And this organisation, this bureaucracy, is taking that away. We all have the right to make our own informed decisions in life. You know, if I choose to run 1,000 metres, a kilometre, knowing that I could end up with a heart attack, and I choose to do it, then that's my decision. I know the consequences. I accept responsibility if anything goes wrong. It's just, to me, it just, instead of talking these people down who work really hard to achieve and to become more than that society imposes on them, they should be applauded and congratulated. They shouldn't be held back by bureaucracy. It's just phenomenal. It just astounds me that people can be, and organisations can be so short-sighted on allowing people to make their own informed decision. Sometimes when a young person wants to make a decision, a parent needs to step in and say yes or no. That's what parents do. But let this young man run. That's his choice. That's his choice. That is his freedom to do what he wants. And if I was in his shoes, I'd be turning around telling these people to piss off. You're not telling me what I can and can't do. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. And that bloke for the Short Stature Association of Australia, pull your head in, mate. Let him do what he wants to do. It's got nothing to do with you. Unbelievable. The next thing they'll be telling us what he can and can't eat, and what he should and shouldn't drink, and how he should and shouldn't do things. Just leave them alone. They know the consequences. Just leave them. Leave them alone. Anyway, we might just move on to the next video, please, Chris.
Oh, the teen living with cerebral palsy.
Yep.
Layla has big dreams and a bright future. She also lives with cerebral palsy, which makes handwriting difficult. So she wants to sit her Year 12 exams on a computer. So why can't she?
You wouldn't know by looking at her as she strides along the running track, but 16-year-old Layla is vision impaired and lives with cerebral palsy.
I want to go to the Paralympics one day, Commonwealth Games. I want to do some little international events as well, hopefully in the near future.
Layla's cerebral palsy affects mainly her right side, impacting the function of her arms and legs, making Layla more prone to tripping when walking or running. But Mum Sam says it won't stop her.
Sam, no doubt Layla has had challenges that she's had to overcome throughout her life.
Mm-hmm.
How has it been watching her overcome those hurdles?
I'm in awe because she's always fought for herself. She's always advocated for herself. I mean, I'm talking about on track and in education and all that. And she's one that doesn't want to give up.
Layla might be great at running, but she says she's lousy at writing.
Day to day, how does your disability impact you?
In writing, like it would take me longer to write than like the average person, and my writing would be like more illegible or harder to read, and obviously it will cause me more pain when writing. But throughout my time at school, I've been using my laptop for all my assessments.
Except next month's HSC, the New South Wales Education Standards Authority, or NESA, has banned Layla from using her laptop in the exams.
But at the end of the day, I still have weaker arms than the average person. So I don't understand why they had to refuse it, because now I'm only going to go like backwards rather than forwards.
It is. It's a slap in the face from NESA. Yep.
Layla is bright and studious, so much so that her school invited her to do the English advanced portion of her HSC 1 year early while in Year 11.
Sam, tell me a little bit about Layla. What was she like as a child growing up?
She was very challenging as a child, always inquisitive. She was just different. She stepped out of kindergarten knowing the timetables. Like, who does that?
Layla's school has always supported her need to use a laptop, but NESA, which oversees the HSC, won't permit it, despite its mantra.
I have two doctors that, for vision and for my cerebral palsy, that have recommended that I use laptops, and that's why I have, because it puts me on an even playing field with everyone else.
Layla, this is some of your handwriting here.
Yeah.
Can you understand that?
Somewhat, not really, because like most of the time I would have to correct it afterwards, which I didn't have time in this exam.
I can see you've crossed out words.
Yeah. I have ataxia, so it's one of the like most rare forms of cerebral palsy. If I get like too tired, my hands will shake.
So this is not your best work, is it?
No, it's quite poor for me.
Talk about poor. NESA didn't even provide Layla an explanation.
And we've provided reports from the vision ophthalmologist. We've provided reports from the paediatrician that's been with her for a while. We've provided reports from an OT who was here for 3 hours and still said no.
A NESA spokesperson told A Current Affair that the organisation focuses on the impact of the disability on how a student functions in an exam setting and has offered Layla a scribe and extra time.
You weren't planning on cheating, were you, using a laptop?
No, never, no. I've always had all my exams, like they turn off the spell check and teachers watch, and it's their laptop anyways.
Well, the purpose of examinations is to show what you know. So these are sort of archaic rules that don't really reflect the digital society we're in.
Professor Iona Novak is Cerebral Palsy Alliance Chair of Allied Health.
Professor, I imagine this is not the first time you've dealt with an issue like this.
In my career, I've dealt with hundreds of students who cannot access the curriculum physically because of their physical disability. We don't ask any student in New South Wales to leave their glasses or their hearing aids behind in case they have an unfair advantage during the examination. So if you have a physical disability and can't handwrite, typing seems like an obvious digital solution in this era.
She's certainly a high achiever, isn't she, Layla?
Yes, she is. She doesn't let the disability get in the way, and she is wanting to send out a message that disabled people can achieve things.
I have an international classification in athletics because I'm disabled enough to compete with disabled people on the world stage. I think Nessa should be able to tell me that too, because at the end of the day, I'm the same person on the track that I am at school.
Layla hopes to study law when she graduates school next year, but she's worried she won't get the marks unless she can do her exams the only way she knows how, on a laptop.
I think my message to Nessa is like, if you're gonna say you're inclusive, like live by it, because you're knocking people with disabilities back. And that's why a lot of people who are disabled drop out of school, because there's no help for them.
This situation is absolutely ludicrous, but Nessa won't budge. And what's so ironic is that HSC exams are going on.
You want to pause there?
Yep. So what a well-spoken, articulate young woman, 16 years old, doing the HSC. Now, I'm totally blind. I use a screen reader, and it's not fully accessible with a lot of things. So offering someone a scribe, someone to write down. So you sit there and you dictate to the person with the pen what your answer is. How demeaning is that? I wouldn't want to use a scribe.
I've got Lady Diana, 49, has put a few comments on here. She says she's happy to see you on the live stream. Height should not be, with the previous video, height should not be a restriction to his participation. And about this video, that she should be able to use the computer. They should have ADA accommodation because of her medical problems. The school should allow her to use one of the laptops. Being disabled should not cripple her chances. Okay, that's all the comments.
Yeah. Hi, Lady Di. It's nice to see you. I've been on Lady Di's channel quite a few times and chatting with her. She's a great lady. She also has a disability. And she used to be a police officer in the US. She's a great person, and I totally agree with everything you said there, Di. Thank you for that input. But getting back to this young woman, I mean, people with disabilities strive to be a part of the community. We don't want to stick out like a sore thumb. We don't want to be noticeable. We want to fit in with everyone else. And this is not that. This is isolating this young lady, giving her a scribe an extra time. Now, I've known people who've used scribes. I've done online courses. I certainly wouldn't use a scribe. I wouldn't trust that, what I'm trying to relay to the scribe would be written down correctly. And she's quite capable of using a laptop. Why not just disconnect the Wi-Fi so she can't hook up to the internet, so she can still use a laptop? It's all going digital anyway. In the next few years, the HSC will be all digital online anyway. Now, my youngest daughter, she's at university 3 times. while she sat for exams. The first time she sat for an exam online, she got halfway through it and it bumped her out. It just kicked her out of the exam and she couldn't get back in. Now, she wasn't the only one that day. There was like half a dozen other kids it happened to as well. There was, oops, sorry, no, we apologise, our mistake. Just reset the exam. No, that didn't happen. She was made to redo the unit, the whole unit, at a cost of $4,000 or $5,000. The second time she did an exam online, she couldn't log in. The exam was supposed to last 2.5 hours. She spent about an hour and 40 minutes trying to log in. She got rang the university, spoke to the IT people there. They couldn't log her in. But this time she was allowed to reset the exam because she didn't actually start it. Now, the third time it happened, which just a few weeks ago, she did the exam, filled out all the questions, and it didn't save. So they could see her sitting there working on the computer, but her answers didn't save. Now, she's paying for $5,000, $6,000, up to $8,000 per unit. So let's take the maximum, say $8,000. That's $24,000. But because this is the third time it happened, they were able to see they couldn't see her answers, but they could see that she wasn't cheating, and she ended up passing with a credit anyway. Now, if the HSE is going to go down this track, then the government is going to have to ensure that these things don't happen. Now, this young girl, again, striving for more than what she can do. Again, she wants to go to the Paralympics. Why? Because she wants to achieve more than she can. She wants to go as far as possible. She wants to become a lawyer. How much harder is it going to be for her being vision impaired and not being able to write, having to use a laptop? Yeah, her life is going to be harder than it would be for a person without a disability doing a law degree. But she's still striving to achieve her dreams. And for the government to say she can't use a laptop, it's like giving a person a wheelchair and saying you can't turn right. You can only use it to go straight ahead, or you can only use it to turn left. It's just ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense. And these buffoons, these bureaucrats, need to pull their heads out of their asses and take a good look at themselves and at the people they're there to support. Again, bureaucracy gone crazy, paying big money to bureaucrats to stuff everything up. Just annoys the hell out of me. Where's the sense? Where's the fairness, the equality, the equity, the empathy? Can we go on to the next one, please, Chris?
Every good dog owner knows to keep their best friend on a leash in public. Robin did just that with her dog Violet. So imagine her shock when she copped a huge fine.
Robin and Violet are the best of mates.
She's just a very relaxed, chill dog. She's deaf. She's my heart and soul. She's just a big teddy bear, really.
Wherever Robin goes, her blue heeler Violet is never far behind.
Every morning we go to the beach together. She's with me 24/7. She comes to work every day. Oh, we're like a horse in a saddle. We belong together.
Robin owns fashion boutique Wit and What at Moffat Beach on the Sunshine Coast. Working 7 days a week to keep doors open during the cost of living crisis, she just stopped for a break outside her store when two female council workers approached.
She was on lead. She was had her underneath my foot. She was just sitting there next to me, and 10 minutes later, the ladies came around the corner. They told me about not having the dog on my hand.
Despite wearing a collar and being on a leash, Robin claims council staff accused her of failing to control Violet in a public space.
Have you ever had any complaints about Violet before?
We had one complaint because she barked at a child. The child was out on the footpath area.
Do you understand the need for these kinds of laws in general, though, to protect the public?
Oh, totally. But I also think she was on a lead and collar. She was behaving properly. If you went to all the cafes and everything in the mornings, most people have their dogs underneath their foot.
Robin claims the council workers issued her a warning before leaving, telling her further action would be discussed with a supervisor.
I spoke to the supervisor at the council next day. She said that Violet had growled, and she basically went through some of the things that they say are allowed and not allowed with dogs, and things that we weren't aware of. I don't think many people are. And she said that it would be a warning.
Days later, a backflip. Robin had been issued the $806 fine by email.
Can you afford to pay this fine?
Oh, definitely not. I'd rather go and sit in jail for a day. I told them I will not be paying the fine on principle. If she'd attacked someone or done the wrong thing, I'd take responsibility. But in this circumstance, it was, totally wrong.
Robin's hefty fine comes as the state government launches its new canine crackdown. With on-the-spot fines more than doubling, there's now even the risk of prison time if you do the wrong thing. While it is about protecting the public, many are calling it excessive and, quite simply, a dog act.
It's totally ridiculous. I mean, it's...
Now, I know there's a lot of pet owners out there who are going to support this lady, but I have no sympathy at all for this lady. None. I think the fine was very excessive. But you've got to ask yourself, why is the council doing it? Obviously, there's a problem with dogs out in public. Now, I used to have a guide dog, and I've forgotten how many times my guide dog was attacked. One time he got into a fight with another dog. They both weighed over like 45 kilos, so they were big dogs. And I had to pull my guide dog back by the harness and get in between the two. Another dog that attacked my guide dog bit me in the back of the leg. So I turned around and laid the boot into it. And the owners of the dog were standing in front of their car laughing. It was a great joke for them. That was funny to see. I don't know how many times my guide dog was attacked. Now, once this happens, guide dogs can become dog shy. They become very cautious of other dogs. They watch the other dogs until they're out of sight, so to make sure they don't get attacked. Now, where I live in Armidale, there's a mall, and in the mall there's a few cafes and there's outside dining. And either end of the mall, there was a warning sign up saying no dogs permitted, except for service animals. Well, there was this one old lady who used to take her little terrier thing and have coffee with her friends and put the dog under a chair. And every time I walked past, her dog would come out and start barking and nipping at my dog. And I asked that lady so many times not to bring your dog into the mall. There's signs up either end of the mall saying no dogs permitted. And your dogs can't be around outside dining areas anyway. But this one day I went down there and the dog was under the seat. My dog seen it, shot in front of me, getting ready for this other dog to come out and start barking and trying to nip at him. Well, I lost it. I screamed at this old lady at the top of my lungs. Get hold of your frigging dog and get rid of it. There was a house I used to pass every day on my way downtown when I had my guide dog. And this house, the owner had about 4 or 5 of these ugly looking Pekingese dogs. And they used to come out and surround my guide dog, barking and lunging forward, trying to nip at him. They would literally surround him. So I got fed up with it. So I had my white cane with me this day. And these dogs come out, and I had my white cane, I was all folded up. And I raised it over my head and I was going to hit this bloody dog, one of these dogs, because I was sick of my guide dog being attacked every time I went past the house. And this old bloke come running out, oh, don't hurt my dogs, don't hurt my dogs. Now, when I got my guide dog, it was up to $30,000 to train the guide dog, ready to go to the handler, to the owner. And it could be anywhere up to another $30,000 in training the guide dog to walk from A to B to C and back again. Now that figure's doubled. And let's not forget other service animals, like these dogs that can detect people who are about to have an epileptic seizure or go into a diabetic coma, or a service dog that helps people in wheelchairs, paraplegics and quadriplegics. They have the right to use their service animals to support them in the community, and their right overrides the right of a person to take their pet into a CBD. So I have no sympathy whatsoever for this lady. And where they said that now people with dogs and outside dining, why isn't the council going up and finding these people in the cafe? Pets are not allowed in restaurants around food. Service dogs are, because they're highly trained and highly disciplined animals. They're there to do a job. They're there to ensure the safety of the handler. Yet people walk around with pets and they tie them up to street signs while they go into a shop. And sometimes these animals can be quite aggressive to kids walking past and to other service dogs. So, lady, stop your bitching. Think about other people who need their service animals. Think about other people and how what you're doing, how that impacts on their life. My guide dog ended up becoming dog shy. Every time he's seen a dog, he kept his eye on it. He would even turn around and look behind. And there was a couple of times I walked into a street sign. It's not fair. So I can congratulate that local council for doing something about it. If it wasn't a problem, they wouldn't be increasing the fines and putting signs up everywhere, warning people about the new rules and regulations about dogs being in the CBD or in the shopping district. Grow up, lady. The world does not revolve around you and your dog. Idiotic, whinging, complaining person, in my opinion. And good on the council for cracking down on it. And I think all councils should do it. No sympathy for this lady whatsoever. All right, so we'll go on to our last video. This one.
I just before we go on, I was just talking to Lady Di about the service dogs, because she has a service dog.
Snowball.
Well.
Yep.
And said apparently, I was asking her about the registration system, because I know they've introduced a registration system in Queensland, and she said there's no, unfortunately, there's no registration system that they have in the US. But I was saying that apparently is working quite well in Queensland, from what I've heard.
Yeah, so Di, in Queensland, they brought out a new rule. Service dogs have to be assessed every 12 months. They either get a pass or a fail. And if they get a fail, they can't be a service dog until they've been retrained. And it's working exceptionally well. And I'd like to see that implemented in every state in Australia. It's working exceptionally well.
And Lady Di lives in Arizona, said that there are state laws that you get fined if you lie about a pet being a service dog, and a service dog must pass a public accessibility test. So similar to what you're talking about, Jeff.
Yeah. So a lot of people confuse companion dogs and service dogs. A companion dog is just a dog that's a pet. Now, I know Lady Di, I've known her for quite a while. She often talks about Snowball, her service dog, how she helps her. And she often takes me into a restaurant. And I don't see a problem with that. It's a highly trained dog. It's kept clean. It's well behaved. But, and Lady Di would probably agree with this, if Snowball was attacked by a dog in the street and wasn't able to provide a service to her anymore, that would definitely impact her quality of life. And this is what we're talking about. People's lives. People rely on these animals, service dogs, for their independence and their ability to get out in the community, to be part of the community. And if that's taken away by other dogs that aren't on a leash or not controlled on a leash, or shouldn't, in my personal opinion, if they're not a service dog, I don't think they should be allowed in the shopping districts or in the CBDs. Service dogs play an essential part in people's lives. And it's not a companion dog. It's a service dog. It's a service animal. A companion animal is just a pet. But we might just go on to the next one. I found this one quite interesting. I'll do a few comments on it, but I want you to listen to what this gentleman says in this clip. It's it's quite an eye opener. Just
Probably one of the most controversial things that I wrote a number of years ago that got people very angry at me, and still there are many people who are still very angry, was when I proposed that staff understand the nature of their role with people with disabilities, and that there needs to be boundaries that come with that role. Okay? So let's just make that clear. We are not friends and we are not family. I've seen people who've come in to work in a place with people with disabilities, and they go on about, oh, we're all friends and you're my best friend and I love doing things with you, you're my friend, you're my friend, you're my friend, and they violate all sorts of boundaries in terms of, you know, what they share with people and so forth. What happens when they leave? You see this in just devastation. I mean, just devastation. You've come into people's lives. You've misrepresented who you are. You misrepresent the feelings that you have. You misrepresent all of that. And you purposefully engage and solicit real affectionate feelings from someone. Okay? And then you cut and you leave and take another job. Okay, so we have people with disabilities who are simply devastated by that. And you know, it's sometimes very hard for the staff that come in next, okay, because we've got people who are grieving. And you know, if you take a look at the nature of the field, I don't know when staff turnover is in other places, but staff turnover in Toronto is Thursday, okay? So there's a lot of people who come in. So we have people with disabilities who are going through this situation of people coming in, they lie, they leave, 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 okay? So we have people with disabilities who are spending a lifetime of mourning and a lifetime of grieving because they believed that this was a friendship, and they believed that this was reciprocal, and they believed this because you said that. You said that in what you called yourself. You said that in how you represented yourself. So we use the lie of friendship to cover up the social isolation of somebody with a disability. And the moment that we don't do that anymore, we see that social isolation in stark ways. And then all of a sudden people say, oh my God, well, you know what, if we're not friends and then they don't have any friends at all, well, what are we supposed to do? Well, that's where you start, isn't it?
well, he said a lot. I don't agree with 99% of what he said. I mean, that's a part of life. When you have a job, you form working relationships. Sometimes you might go out and socialise. Most of the time you don't. I've had friends for decades, and over a period of years, I've lost contact with them. I've had support workers who left the industry, and I still keep in contact with them because I end up becoming friends with them. It's a fact of life. People come into your life and people leave out of your life. And saying they lie, they leave, they lie, they leave, they lie, they leave. What a load of crap. I've got 3 or 4 different support workers that I work with quite a fair bit. And we have a good working relationship. We don't socialise. We don't go out to the pub. They have their own personal life, and I have my own. I don't interfere in their personal life, and they don't interfere with mine. A good support worker will come in and form a relationship with a client. Not because they're a liar, it's because they want to understand them and know them better so they can help provide the supports that they need. Now, we have a bloke here in Australia who has a severe disability, who referred to all support workers as bum wipers. All they're there to do is wipe bums and cut up carrots. And I disagreed wholeheartedly with that comment. I even made complaints because he's supposed to be a representative with the government. He's supposed to represent people with disability to the government. It just denigrated a whole workforce of 80,000 people. Support workers come in and they provide an essential service. Now, about 3 years ago, I fell over and broke my left hip, and it took me about 9 months to get over it. And prior to that, I was really independent. I would walk around my CBD on my own. I knew where the shops were that I went to all the time. I knew how to get to them. But since I broke my hip, I've lost all my confidence, and I rely and trust the people I work with a working relationship to assist. Now, I've had some support workers that I work with now that they've left the industry, or they've had other commitments with other clients, because they usually have more than one client. What this bloke's saying is so incorrect. And what I believe is this guy's problem is that, and this is purely my opinion, this is what I've read between the lines, is that he's obviously formed or tried to form a relationship with someone, and that wasn't reciprocated. No, support workers aren't family, but they can be friends. They can be friendly. I just don't agree with this guy. He's got such a lopsided, skewed viewpoint on this topic of support workers and what their role is and what their function is when they work with a client. I think most support workers, they have 3 or 4 different clients. They don't just stick with one person for years and years and years. They might stick with half a dozen people. But this guy, I agree with very little. I disagree with 99% of what he said. And the only thing I can think of that would make him this way is that he's obviously tried to form a relationship with someone and it wasn't reciprocated. Now, being a support worker is not easy. I don't know what it's like in the US or Canada or the UK, but here in Australia, they have a duty of care. They have to be aware of restrictive practices. They have to have ongoing training. So it's a very complex job. It's not like, oh, come in, we'll just do this today and we might go down and have a coffee or go to a movie. That's not what a support worker does. They help people with disabilities to do daily activities or to reach goals, if they have any. Now, one of my main goals is to run my channel on my own. But the platform I use, StreamYard, is not fully accessible, so I rely on a support worker to help. And there's quite a common thing, and Lady Di, she's still there, could probably confirm this. There's a thing called porn bombing, where people who want to come up on the panel and talk to you, once they get up there, they show pornographic pictures. And you have to shut your live stream down straight away, or you get a strike from YouTube. You get 3 strikes and you're out. You're off YouTube. So I rely on my support worker. I've told my support worker, this is what I want to happen. I want you to watch out for the people who are porn bombing or being doxing, putting people's private information out. And if they see that, they've got to ban them straight away. So there are relationships between support workers and people with disabilities. Mostly it's a working relationship. Sometimes it can be a personal relationship. Like I said, I've got friends who left the industry, and I've kept in contact, and we go and have coffee every now and again, catch up and chat as friends, as equals. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think support workers have it hard enough trying to deal with laws and policies and procedures and trying to help and support people with disabilities. So let's just give support workers a bit of a break and appreciate what they do. Yes, there are bad ones out there. I've had bad support workers. Really bad. I had one was really bad support worker. I mean, after the second time he came, I told him not to come back. It was just so bad. And there's always a high turnover of staff and support workers because they do get emotionally connected to their clients. They see them when they're upset. They see them when they're sick. They have a working relationship, but they still have feelings. They still get affected seeing people get sick or die. It's a very complicated job being a support worker. And to label them all support workers as liars and deceiving people with disabilities, saying they're friends when they're not. Is so far over the top and out of touch with reality, in my opinion, that it's skewed. I don't know why he's got these opinions, but I have an idea of why he's like this, but maybe wrong. Probably am wrong. But just stop and think about what support workers have to do. What they have to learn as part of their job, policies and procedures of the organisation they work for, the laws that they have to abide by, the responsibilities they have, ensuring the safety and the duty of care. It's not an easy job. So we should show support workers the respect that they deserve. Well, that's my 2 cents for the week. I tried to get some people in for an interview, but unfortunately, because of personal reasons, they weren't able to make it. But I aim to have someone next week to do an interview, but I've got to confirm that yet. But I just want to thank everyone for coming in today, and please like and share this video, and please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to contact me and want me to talk about something, my email is blindadvocate007@gmail.com. All right, I might end it there. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone.